Imagine waking up to headlines that a major American city, one you'd never expect, has just collapsed. Not in some distant, war-torn country, but right here. Streets that were once bustling with life now echo with an eerie silence and uncertainty. This isn't just a story about Detroit's past, or a forgotten relic of history. Right now, several of America's most iconic cities are teetering on the edge, facing threats that could turn a local crisis into a full-blown national emergency. From economic meltdowns and soaring crime to climate disasters and political paralysis, the risks are real, and they are here. The fallout from even one city's failure could ripple across the entire country, affecting everything from supply chains to national security. The decisions made in these cities over the next 18 months could define the next generation. Are we ready for what's coming? In a world where stability can vanish in a moment, the line between order and chaos has never felt thinner. To identify which U.S. cities are most at risk of collapse, we analyzed a range of critical factors: economic health, rising crime rates, aging infrastructure, climate vulnerability, political dysfunction, and growing social unrest. Some cities wear their struggles on their sleeves. You can see it in the abandoned buildings, the failing public services, or the daily headlines about violence. But others are much more deceptive. They hide their problems behind a facade of prosperity, masking deep cracks that could split wide open under the slightest pressure. This list isn't about fearmongering or sensationalism. It's a wake-up call. It's about spotlighting the very real vulnerabilities that threaten America's urban future. Some of these cities are already on the brink, while others are hiding their fractures just beneath the surface. The big question is, which one will be the first to tip over the edge? Let's start with a city that many see as a sun-soaked paradise, Miami. Famous for its vibrant nightlife, luxury condos, and iconic beaches, it's the picture of glamour. But beneath that glittering surface, Miami is facing a perfect storm of existential threats. Rising sea levels are no longer a future problem, they are a present reality. Streets are already flooding during high tides, a phenomenon now casually called sunny day flooding. Experts warn that much of Miami could be underwater within our lifetimes, a slow-motion disaster that is already unfolding. This constant threat is causing the insurance market to buckle under the pressure. Premiums are skyrocketing, and some insurance companies are pulling out of Florida altogether, deeming the risk too high. This leaves homeowners and businesses dangerously exposed, unable to afford coverage or rebuild after the next inevitable hurricane or flood. At the same time, a quiet exodus is underway. Climate migration is accelerating, as residents who can afford to are leaving for safer, higher ground. This slow drain of people erodes the city's tax base and tears at its social fabric. Miami's beautiful skyline masks a fragile foundation, one that's crumbling faster than most people realize. What happens when paradise becomes uninsurable and ultimately unlivable? The city's struggle is a stark warning for every coastal community around the world. It proves that glamour and wealth offer no protection against nature's relentless advance. The line between a thriving metropolis and a submerged disaster zone is far thinner than we ever imagined. Next, we look at San Francisco, once the undisputed crown jewel of American innovation. This was the city where startups became global giants and dreams were turned into billion-dollar realities. But today, the city's tech-fueled prosperity has collided head-on with a deepening social crisis. Skyrocketing housing costs, driven by the tech boom, have pushed middle-class and working-class families out, hollowing out the very communities that gave the city its character. Meanwhile, homelessness and visible poverty have surged, creating a jarring contrast on streets lined with both tech headquarters and tent encampments. The problem has become so pronounced that even the tech companies, once the city's lifeblood, are starting to leave. They're heading for more affordable, business-friendly locations, taking jobs and tax dollars with them. The result is a shrinking tax base, struggling public services, and a growing sense of disillusionment and unease among the residents who remain. The chasm between immense wealth and daily hardship has become impossible to ignore. Can the world's innovation capital survive its own success, or is it headed for a hard reset? San Francisco's story is a powerful warning. Unchecked growth and extreme inequality can poison even the most prosperous city, turning it into a cautionary tale. The city's future now hangs in the balance. Will it find a way to reinvent itself and bridge its divides? Or will it become a symbol of what happens when progress leaves too many people behind? Now, let's travel south to a city living on borrowed time, New Orleans. Its unique culture, vibrant music, and incredible resilience are legendary, but so are its vulnerabilities. Built below sea level, The city's aging levees and flood infrastructure are constantly being tested by stronger, more frequent hurricanes, fueled by a warming climate. Each storm that batters the coast chips away at the city's ability to recover. A shrinking population and persistent poverty make the challenge of rebuilding harder and more expensive every single year. Experts are not asking if another major storm will hit, they are asking when. They warn that the next big one could be catastrophic, overwhelming the city's defenses and forcing a mass exodus on a scale we've never seen before. How many more times can New Orleans bounce back? How many more storms can it possibly survive? The contrast here is heartbreaking. A community defined by its unbreakable spirit, yet threatened by forces completely beyond its control. New Orleans stands as a powerful reminder that climate change isn't some distant, abstract threat. It is a clear and present danger, and for cities on the front lines, the clock is ticking. From the south, we head north to Chicago, the Windy City, now standing at a perilous crossroads. Once a mighty symbol of American strength and industry, it now faces a troubling convergence of crises. Violent crime rates have remained stubbornly high for years, creating a climate of fear that is driving both residents and businesses out of the city. At the same time, a long history of political corruption and fiscal mismanagement has left Chicago with massive, unfunded pension debts and chronically underfunded public services. As the population shrinks, so does the tax base, putting even more pressure on the city's schools, public transit, and community safety nets. It's a vicious cycle that seems to be accelerating. Is the Windy City running out of time and options? Chicago's story is one of power versus paralysis. It's a city with immense resources, cultural richness, and potential, yet it seems unable to break free from the destructive cycles of political dysfunction and violence that hold it back. If real solutions aren't found soon, Chicago, the great city of the heartland, could become America's next cautionary tale of large-scale urban decline. Finally, we arrive in Los Angeles, America's dream factory, which is now facing a potential nightmare scenario. The City of Angels is grappling with a convergence of crises that are all hitting at once. A spiraling homelessness emergency of epic proportions, severe and persistent drought, the ever-present threat of devastating wildfires, and widening economic inequality that feels unsustainable. The sheer size of LA means that any kind of collapse here wouldn't just be a local problem. It would send shockwaves across the entire nation. Its infrastructure is aging and strained. Housing is critically unaffordable for millions of residents, and the gap between the ultra-rich and the working poor grows wider with each passing year. What happens when America's dream factory becomes its most frightening cautionary tale? The challenges facing LA are a microcosm of the issues confronting urban America as a whole. If a city with this much wealth, talent, and influence can't find a way forward, the consequences will be felt far beyond the borders of California. A perfect storm is brewing and the entire world is watching. So, what do all these cities, Miami, San Francisco, New Orleans, Chicago, and Los Angeles, have in common? Each one faces its own unique and dangerous mix of mismanagement, climate risk, and deep social divides. But the underlying lesson is the same for all of them. Urban collapse isn't inevitable. It's a choice. It's what happens when warning signs are ignored, when tough decisions are postponed, and when division is allowed to fester. The world is closer to a tipping point than ever before, and the choices made in these cities in the coming months will not just shape their own futures, but the future of the entire nation. Will leaders step up and act with the urgency this moment demands, or will they allow history to repeat itself? The fate of America's great cities is a test for us all. Stay alert, stay informed, and remember, the next crisis could be closer than you think. Thanks for watching.